As everyone's joining, thank you all for joining us today. We're so excited to have you all here to talk and introduce you to our wonderful SDSU alumni. Give it a couple minutes as you all are joining. While we're waiting for everybody to join, if you all want to just use the chat and just let us know your name, your major, your interest in sports, maybe you've had some past sports experience. Be great to just kind of know who's here, especially for our panelists today. So feel free to share who you are. Welcome. Awesome. So we'll go ahead and get started. Again, thank you all for joining us. Welcome to the Women in Sports Business panel hosted by the Career Management Center at the Fowler College of Business. My name is Hema De Leon. I am the Director of Marketing Communications for the Fowler College of Business, and we're so excited to have you all here for this topic and these wonderful alumni on our panel today. So just a little bit of background on myself. Actually had a history working in sports, working with a few of these ladies on the panel as well. So I'm super excited for you all to hear their story and hear how they utilized SDSU resources, as well as networking and connections in San Diego to get their job today in sports. So again, just wanted to give it an overview of the logistics today. I know a lot of you are familiar with Zoom webinar, but use the Q&A function. We'll have time at the end for some Q&A, so please use that at the bottom. Feel free to use the chat if you all want to communicate with each other as well, but we'll mainly be using the Q&A for the section at the end. So want to give you a brief overview of our panelists. I know that you all have seen their headshots and their titles, but want to start things off. We have Ashley Adams, who is the Marketing and Sales Support Manager for the Farmers Insurance Open. We want to welcome Ashley Fleck, who is the Account Executive Corporate Partnerships for the Anaheim Angels. We have Jamie Kingston, who is the Marketing Manager of the Colorado Rapids, and Connor Novak, who is the Senior Manager of Community Outreach for the San Diego Padres. And last but not least, we have Jessica Valo, who is the Media and Communications Coordinator for the Honda Center. So really quickly, wanted to introduce you to give a brief introduction of our panelists, but then also shoot it over to Jill Lackey, who will be our moderator today, and she will take it from here. So Jill.
Thank you, Hema. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. As Hema mentioned, I am Jill Lackey. I am the Business and Career Development Coordinator for the Fowler College of Business. I too got my start in sports. I did my undergrad in public relations and sports management, worked in minor league sports for quite some time. So I'm so excited to talk to this wonderful panel of women. I would love to start and kick things off. Again, we know who you are in your title, but maybe let us know your major, the year you graduated, and again, just let us know where you're working. So could we start with Ashley?
Yeah, so I'm Ashley. I graduated SDSU in 2015. And I majored in business management with specialization in entrepreneurship. I currently work for the Farmers Insurance Open. For you guys who don't know golf, it's the PGA Tour golf tournament in San Diego at Torrey Pines.
Great. Next, Ashley.
Hi, my name is also Ashley, and I graduated from SDSU in 2015 as well. My major was business management and my minor was marketing. Now I work for Angels Baseball up here in Anaheim, and I am an account executive on their corporate partnerships team. For anyone who's not familiar with corporate partnerships, it's when you're watching the game and you see the signs in the outfield for different companies. I work on those accounts and with those brands.
Great, thank you. Welcome. Jamie.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jamie. I graduated from San Diego State in 2013. My degree was in marketing. I'm currently with the Colorado Rapids, so that's a Major League Soccer team out here in Denver, Colorado. I handle everything regarding the brand, so like where you see it out in the community, billboards, radio, TV, kind of ensuring all of that is right, correct, and appealing to our fans. And then I help with promotion of all our home games.
Awesome. Connor.
Hi, my name is Connor Novak. I graduated in 2014 with a degree in Asian Studies and an emphasis in Chinese language, actually. I'm currently with the San Diego Padres. I'm the Senior Manager of Community Outreach.
Great. Asian Studies, all right. I did not know that about you. And Jessica.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I have kind of the same SDSU background as Ashley with the Angels. Graduated in 2015, a business management major with a minor in marketing. And I'm currently working at Honda Center in Anaheim, California. So it's Orange County's premier sports and entertainment venue. In my department, we work very closely with the Anaheim Ducks. And I myself work in the marketing and public relations department. So we're doing press releases, advertisements, and just all of the ins and outs for concerts and events and different sporting events like UFC, NCAA tournament, Big West tournament, and just a wide spectrum of all events that come through the building.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for those brief introductions. We're again so excited to learn from all of you regarding your backgrounds, the industries that you're in, and really what women can do in sports. So let's talk a little bit about your education and how you felt prepared. So how do you feel that your time at SDSU prepared you for your career within the industry? And if you want to throw in, what type of extracurriculars were you part of, if any? Jamie, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, definitely. So like I mentioned before, I was a marketing major. So all those classes well, I guess let me back up. I knew I wanted to get into marketing going into everything. I didn't know what industry. Got an internship my freshman year with the athletic department, which was really beneficial because it allowed me to pinpoint that I wanted to work in sports, but then also I kept that all 4 years. So I was able to take what I learned in my classes at San Diego State and apply it directly to what I was doing in the athletic department. So that was really beneficial. And then I was involved in the American Marketing Association Club on campus. And then I held a few internships and part-time roles with the San Diego Padres Pod Squad, Holiday Bowl, and just a few other sports opportunities in San Diego that helped me complement everything I was learning in classes.
A little different from Jamie. I had no idea what I wanted to do. Started out as an international business major. You have to choose a language with that. So I chose Chinese, having gone abroad the summer before I started college. So for most of my college career, I really had no clue what I wanted to do. I ended up landing an internship with the Padres right before I graduated and found out that I love working in sports. I love working in community relations. The impact you can have in the community is so fulfilling. So I really loved that. During my time at SDSU, I was a part of the club lacrosse team. Having never played lacrosse, I kind of walked onto the team. And what's unique about club sports at SDSU is that the students really manage the team. So we're responsible for booking travel, budgeting, hiring and firing of coaches. So that was kind of a unique experience that kind of gave me a glimpse into the sports industry. And I was also a student assistant working in the College of Business Dean's office. So got some basic admin experience there. But again, for most of my college career, had no idea what I wanted until I interned with the Padres and really fell in love with community relations and working in sports.
Yeah, I could piggyback off that. I too was an intern with the athletic department with Jamie during my undergrad, and I actually found out about that because I was involved in Greek life. I was in a sorority, and my peers in that sorority had told me about this internship because she was also on the team and the opportunity. Otherwise, I would have never known where to look. It was really just word of mouth, and because I was close with her. Through there, I met Jamie and Jessica and our boss. Like, we all were a team and we worked together, which eventually led to other opportunities and other internships for me personally, eventually with Fox Sports San Diego, and then eventually with the then San Diego Chargers. And that was all basically found through sharing insights with my team members or my boss who I worked with at SDSU.
Yeah, going along with Ashley, we were both sports marketing interns with the athletic department. So I was very, very heavily involved on campus. I was one of those people who knew that I didn't want to work at a desk for my whole life. I loved being around entertainment, being around sports, and just being around people. And so I was also involved with professional business fraternity, Delta Sigma Pi, Associated Students, SDSU ambassadors, and then with athletics, it all really taught me how to work with different groups of people, public speaking skills, and it just really kind of go into places that you're uncomfortable and grow out of your shell. And so it was really great to have my schedule filled with all of these different unique opportunities that SDSU offers.
Yeah, and I chose entrepreneurship as my emphasis because I wasn't sure what side of business I wanted to go in. Also, my family has their own sports retail store. So I knew I wanted to learn every aspect. It was nice because you got to see not just marketing, but every part of the business. And then from there, I got my first job at the Padres my sophomore year, and continued to work there. And I was in a sorority. I was in Delta Gamma. And that's how I heard about other opportunities. And I was also able to get friends to come work as well. So definitely get involved.
Awesome. Lots of great ways to get connected, even through SDSU. For those of you who are listening, many great organizations, internships that you can take part of. So definitely get involved. All right. Our next question. What or whom helped you get to where you are, and what advice would you have for others who want to set off in that similar direction? Ashley Fleck.
Yeah, I will jump in. So like I mentioned before, I was very involved with my sorority. It was Gamma Phi Beta. I think someone asked in the chat, but I found through my peers there this athletics internship with SDSU sports marketing, and really committing to that internship. It was volunteer. It was not paid. It was on weekends, working weird hours and really giving my time. It was really, I got out of it what I put in, and you have to really commit to things like that. And so since I did really commit to it and I did really jump all in, I made great connections with my peers and my bosses, like I said, which eventually led me to other opportunities and working hard there. So my advice would be to not be afraid to take something as on a volunteer basis or something that's not paid right away, because and to really commit to it, not just to say, oh, I need this on my resume, I'm going to just check the box. You really need to commit to it, go the extra mile, get to know the people that you're working with, because those connections that you make really take you farther in your career. And it's in the sports, I'm sure in any industry, but in the sports industry, especially word of mouth and hearing about new opportunities is really, really crucial.
I'll go off of Ashley. I think that also when you're starting off in sports, you can't be afraid to take an opportunity that might not align with what you see yourself doing down the road per se, because I think any opportunity that's going to help you get your foot in the door is going to be beneficial. You're going to learn something, you're going to be able to network. It's just going to help you build upon your skill set, and you might end up liking it. So take the volunteer opportunities when you can.
Yes, I can agree with that too. My first job at the Padres was selling tickets in the box office, so not glamorous whatsoever, but making connections with everyone in the departments around me really helped, and that's how I was able to get out of the box office and move into other areas. So definitely, yeah, just try to work very hard and be nice to everyone around you, and there will be ways to move forward, move up.
Yeah, I totally agree with Ashley. I think having a positive attitude is key. You got to be proactive and raise your hands for any and all opportunities, and just proving that you're willing to put in the work and get the job done and done well will take you far for sure. And also just not letting title discourage you. I think most of us started as interns or assistants in volunteer roles or minimally paid roles. So don't be discouraged by that. Just getting your foot in the door is the first step, and usually the hardest step, I would say, in sports.
I'd agree. It's the hardest step, because once you're in there and you have that background, people are going to look to you first, and the work that you do there is more than anything what a paying job could do, in my opinion.
Yeah. I used to say if I could sell tickets in a day game to 110-degree weather, then I can do anything. So yeah, it's where you start, which opens doors to where you're going to go next. So kind of along those lines, what do you think are some common misconceptions connected to working in the sports industry? And were there any preconceived notions you had going in your first role, maybe into your second one? What are some thoughts?
Yeah, I think one of the things that a lot of people think is, once the baseball season ends or once the whatever season ends, everyone packs up their bags, goes home, and then doesn't show back up until spring training of next year. It's a year-round operation. You work some crazy hours. The off season is definitely a little more normal. You're working more of a 9 to 5, but the off season is really still busy. That's when you get all your planning done, pregame entertainment, any community events or fundraisers, player appearances, all that stuff is planned out months in advance, which I feel like maybe a typical fan wouldn't know just how much work goes into everything that you see on the field during a game day.
Yeah, I agree with Connor. And to piggyback off that, also working in baseball, really all the hard work you put in is behind the scenes and in these months before and after. And then really during the season is kind of showtime when you get to see all your hard work coming together. But with that, that's also where I think a common misconception, or at least that I had to get used to starting out, is it is very weird hours. It is a lot of weekends all the time. And you just and that is something I wasn't fully prepared for. I kind of had a intro to it at SDSU, sports marketing, working football games on Saturdays, but it's at like for the baseball season, it's 6 months and it's every other Saturday pretty much. And it's nights during the week. And it's really fun what you're doing and when you're there, but it's still a grind.
Yeah. Another misconception too. So the Farmers Insurance Open is just one tournament every year. So there's currently 11 of us full time. You would assume if it's being televised and it's a big sports event that there's a huge budget or a lot of people that are working on it. And that was a misconception I had. It's definitely a small team, small budget, all hands on deck. We rely on a lot of interns, a lot of volunteers. So really just grinding it out all year long, and then being able to see your successes in a small window.
Yeah. Following up with Ashley's point with the small team, I always thought that it was very large teams that were working behind the scenes. I thought the marketing department was 10 people, PR department was 10 people. Like I just thought that a lot more people were involved on the team side. And then from my personal experience, our team is only 6 working on any non-Ducks game, which is a lot. I think that's really small for me. And then I was actually talking to someone who works at a venue in San Antonio, and I was saying, oh, I am used to working in a small team. I'm a team of 6. And he said, oh, you're a team of 6. We have 3 people doing all of your jobs. And so it just kind of shows you how much work those 3 to 6, 7 people are putting in, because you think that there is enough work for 10 people, but you really only have 5 or 6 doing it. So it just shows you how much time and effort is put into it. And how everyone's saying it's every weekend, it's every event. We don't have enough people to be switching off. I thought that there's no way people will work 40 home hockey games. There's absolutely not a chance, but you do. And same with baseball. You have a ton of home games and you're there for every single one. You don't get to switch off with anyone.
Piggyback off of that, wearing many hats in your day to day, I'm going to just throw in a random question. What is one job that you've done that you never thought you would get to do or expected in your role? I had to be a mascot once and I thought never in my entire life would I ever put that thing on. Guess what I did? So any of you have something that just really you weren't expecting or didn't think you'd do in your job, good or bad?
I can go mascot train for sure. In college athletics, definitely had to jump in the suit. And also I never had any interest in PR, but my first job out of college, that was one of my duties. And it definitely helped me realize I'm not suited for that avenue, but it was a great learning experience.
Mm-hmm. I have one that's also relating to this time that we are in right now with COVID. So one thing that we're actually doing, so our team, we were fortunate enough to all keep our jobs throughout this as of now. And part of what we're doing is working some part-time positions. So our owners own different ranks of California, and there are different practices. You can go for figure skating clubs, and those have been able to be open as camps and for private sessions. And so we have full-time staff who are working some of the part-time positions since we don't have part-time staff. So I have been working at the front desk and answering phones and helping people check in. And it's something that is definitely not in my job description, but it just shows that there's different situations that you get thrown into and you do whatever you can to help out the company and to help out your fellow peers and make sure that everybody is where they need to be. But definitely it's an ever-changing industry and stuff is always getting mixed up. And so that's just one of the things I didn't think I would be doing, but I'm happy and grateful to be doing now.
Thanks for sharing those. For those of you who are following along on the questions, I'm going to skip one because Jessica gave a nice introduction, and I will get back to women in sports because I think it's so important to identify women in sports versus men in sports. There is a difference in your roles and how you're perceived. But talking about the pandemic, how has the pandemic affected the sports industry, either in your immediate space, taking on additional hats, or as you've seen as a whole within your realm? Connor, would you like to answer that one?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, every industry has taken a hit during the pandemic, sports obviously included. If you've watched any live sports recently, you've seen there's usually no fans or cardboard cutout fans. So it's definitely been an interesting time. No fans, no tickets, no revenue stream. So, it's been an interesting time for us to come up with creative ways to engage with our fans, support our community partners, and also try to drive some sort of revenue to the club. So we've come up with a few cool ideas, like the cardboard cutouts you've seen most clubs do. We've had merch pop-up stores around San Diego so fans can, purchase cool new brown and gold Padres gear. We've had plenty of drive-in events. So it's been really challenging, but a good challenge for us to kind of rethink how we've been operating and running, and, deciding if, programs that we've run for 20 plus years is it time to sunset those. And those are questions we ask every year, but especially this year. So it's been a fun challenge, I guess, trying to make the most of the situation, but definitely been an interesting time.
Yeah, I think it kind of opens the door for creativity and collaboration across departments, just because for us out here, like everything we are doing is digital. So we're working with our digital team and our website team like hand in hand and sharing projects and trying to think of new ways. So I think it helps think of new ideas because you're all working on the same platform, but then also it gives you a new appreciation for what your coworkers do, because you're like, oh, so this is how your process works, or this is what your workload looks like. So even though it's been a challenge, I think there are definitely positives to it.
Yeah, utilizing new technology to just going cashless, all digital tickets, anything we can to eliminate people touching anything or interacting with another human within 6 feet. That has been really interesting. But yeah, also just budgets being cut, not being able to focus on selling tickets, but really shifting our focus to like charitable efforts, showing like what good you're still doing in the community, because we need some uplifting news right now. So it's been an adjustment, but it's been fun.
Yeah, I think to go off of Ashley and what everyone else has said, also another thing that's really opened my eyes is company culture and how my company specifically has handled the difficult times during the pandemic and having to pivot and make adjustments, and the transparency we've been given. I think it just really reiterates how important that is to you. And when you're looking for a company or a team or organization to work for, is to take that into account, what you're looking for in an organization, how it's going to treat its employees. Because at the end of the day, it is a business, and you need to make sure you're working in a place where you feel valued.
Great. And I'm going to expand on that because it is so important to really, when you are looking for a company to work for, sports is business. At the end of the day, it is. So Ashley, I'm going to ask you, how important do you think internships or volunteer opportunities are in sports, as far as gauging where you're going, what your next steps are? And can you share some tips on where you think students could get started with those?
Absolutely. So I think having an internship is the most important thing you can do to get into sports. Like Jamie touched on, even if it's in a field that you are not familiar with or in a realm that you don't know. I did not know what corporate partnerships was. I thought it was marketing. And I really learned to love it. And now I'm really passionate about it, but I didn't know at first. And so I went in with an open mind. When I worked for the San Diego Chargers in that internship role, it was a marketing internship, but then day one, they're like, it's technically marketing partnerships. This is what it is. And it was an incredible learning experience. And I fell in love with it. And so I think getting your foot in the door and opening your mind and doing something that you're really not familiar with in an internship role, and an internship is a great place to do that. And then you can kind of figure out, oh, I do really like this. I would like to explore this further for something more permanent, or, oh, this is not for me. But I did observe a different part of the business that I am really passionate about and would like to pursue. Some references or places that have been helpful for me are networking events, doing informational interviews, and it's really just finding like teams that you're passionate about or like curious about, and finding those people on LinkedIn, seeing if they would be open to giving you an informational interview and sitting down with you or on the phone with you for 15-20 minutes with some questions. I did that for multiple teams. Teamwork Online is a very great platform, which I'm sure everyone on the panel has heard of and knows. It's teamworkonline.com. That's where teams and colleges and event venues post openings and internship programs online. So I would check that. Once I found that out from an informational interview. And so I would just check constantly. And that's where you see a lot of opportunities posted. So that was a great resource for me.
Piggybacking off of Ashley, I think those internships and volunteer opportunities are so important, especially if you're not too sure what you want to get into yet, because it gives you the ability.
I think we lost Jessica.
One home games, and you don't want to have every sorry, did I cut out? Sorry. Perfect. So again, checking off those boxes, you may think that you want to work in baseball and then realize that you don't want to work 81 home games and you want to have your Saturdays and Sundays free, and that you can still work in sports, you just don't want to work in baseball in it anymore. And so I think that it really helps you check off those boxes of what you want to do and what you don't want to do, and then narrow down where you would like to go and where you would like to make those connections. So you're in the end finding a place that you really want to be.
And I think also another resource is WISE. It's a women in sports and events group. They have a chapter in San Diego and recommend joining them. I think they have like a student membership fee, but they do monthly events. It's a great place to network. Plus you're going to hear about opportunities and just get creative ideas from other people. So definitely use that as a resource.
I think volunteering also is a great, easy way to get involved, especially if you're interested in community relations. Getting out in the community, understanding, what our local nonprofits are in need of, giving back, obviously very fulfilling, but you can learn a lot, make great contacts, and just give back. When I first started with the Padres, my job was assistant Padres volunteer team. So we launched this program, the volunteer team, to connect Padres fans, just anyone in general, with local nonprofits in need of volunteers. So that's been running for 5 years now. And we have hundreds of different local nonprofits that are looking for volunteer support. So it's just an easy way to connect volunteers with nonprofits. So padres.com/volunteer is where you can find volunteer opportunities if you're interested.
Yeah, and then also going off of internships too, I know for business, it's required for some majors to get an internship. I recommend researching it before you have like 2 weeks before you're supposed to select one, because there is a list of like what you can do. Really take time, get an internship before you're even required to. Make sure you're picking a company that you would see yourself working at, because I know a lot of people that just waited for way too long and then had the most random internship that didn't help them with their career.
Great advice. And the Career Management Center, plug, is there to help you find internships through the Fowler College of Business. So we've talked a lot about networking. I want to know, what does authentic networking look like to you, either on the receiving end or the giving end? Because I think there's this common misconception from students that they're either bothering someone or that networking is immediately connecting with them on LinkedIn and saying, do you have a job? So what is authentic networking for you?
I'll start. I think it's creating genuine relationships with people in the sports industry. And I think you need to make sure that when you're networking, you're taking the time to do it the right way and be genuine about it. So you're not just checking the box. I think it's better to have 20 really close people that can vouch for your work ethic and your drive and your dreams than to have 1,000 people that just like are your connection and don't know much about you. So I think just be genuine when you're networking and take the time to like research the questions you want to ask and the person you're talking to, so that you go in seeming like that you're invested in it.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jamie. I think not being afraid, I mean, coming over, I would always feel like I was bothering someone, but anyone in the sports industry, I'm sure, has had to reach out. Like the person that people I reached out to for informational interviews, they had all done it before too, and they were more than willing to give back and to do it. And I personally would too. Like now I am doing this with students too. And it's something that people in the sports industry, if it's a busy time for them, they might just ask you to do it a little bit later, but it's something that people will be willing to do. So I would say don't be afraid to ask the question to meet.
You'd be surprised how willing people are to help in this industry. Message them on LinkedIn, and like Ashley said, if they're busy now, they might be, and then they'll just say, get back to me in a month, and I will get on a Zoom call, I get on a phone call, I will answer all of your questions. People are very, very willing to help out within this industry, which is great. So definitely don't be afraid to take that first step.
Yeah, and if you are sending a message on LinkedIn, definitely include a message with it. So it's not just a blind request of like, how do I know this person? Definitely making a connection of like, oh, we have this person in common, or I saw that you worked here, would love to know more about it. If you just make that a little bit more personal, people will be much more apt to respond.
Was there anyone specific who helped any of you kind of get your foot in the door or have that next step that you can either look back to and think that was really a defining moment in my career, or even I accredit where I'm at, my success, to this person? Anyone have that person for them?
Yeah, I have kind of a roadmap to how I got to where I am today, and I always like sharing it because I think it shows the importance of networking too. So the way that I got to where I am now, starting from the very beginning, my freshman hallmate, she was in Associated Students, so then she got me to join Associated Students. So I was there. I met one who was a sports marketing intern, talked to him, got connected to our boss at SDSU Athletics. And so then I was an intern there and proved myself, had a really great time, did a good job, really helped out wherever I could. And so then my boss there recommended me for an internship with Fox Sports San Diego. So I was an intern at Fox Sports San Diego, where again, my boss there, which both of these bosses I see as mentors and friends, I attribute my entire career and where I'm going to both of them. So can I throw out names? Hema and Christian DeLeon, throw out names.
Same.
They've been really, really great in my career. So was an intern there, and then again did well there, networked with every single person there. I would always just go into different offices and ask if people needed help. And I think that was something that set me apart, those just talking to different departments and being willing to jump in wherever I could. I was able to get a full-time job there after graduation. So then I was with Fox Sports San Diego for about 1.5 years, and then saw my current job pop up at Honda Center. And my boss at Fox Sports knew someone that worked at Fox Sports West, who works closely with the Anaheim Ducks, who works closely with my boss now in the PR department. So had my resume and application sent over, had the interviews, and then got my job there. So definitely attribute my career success to some of my early mentors and supervisors. And it just kind of shows you how important networking is, because every single job that I've gotten has been through someone I know. And it's because they know my work ethic. They were able to talk to my future supervisors about my work ethic, and it helped me get to where I am.
Awesome. Well, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'll go next. My first manager at the Padres, he really helped me get to where I am today. I started working there, like I said, in the box office. After showing him kind of my work ethic, he was able to promote me 2 different times after that. So he's really able to get me to move up into where I wanted to go. And then through other people, that's where I moved over to the Farmers Insurance Open. So yes, all of my jobs have been through knowing someone and just showing your work, because at the end of the day, if you're applying, it's a piece of paper. You can't really differentiate yourself that much. It's really going to your work is what's going to show who you are and really differentiate you from other candidates.
Awesome. Well, I know we just have a few minutes left of the panel discussion. This is a women in sports panel, so we absolutely have to talk about it. What do you think the biggest challenge is facing women in the sports industry right now, either personally or what you've observed as a whole? Connor, I'm going to pick on you again. Do you want to start that one off?
I'll try. Yeah, I mean, the sports industry is notoriously known as a male-dominated industry, so that alone is a little bit intimidating. I think one of the things personally I struggle with is a work-life balance, you know. I'm at the point in my life where, do I want to get married? Do I want to have a family? Obviously that applies to men too in the workplace, but it's tough working baseball, 81 home games, you know, 14, 15-hour days sometimes. It's something that, you know, women have to deal with working in sports with these really unusual hours. So that's my first thought. I'm sure the other ladies will have some good input.
You feel married to the sport at times, and like that's
yeah.
your first commitment,
Right.
especially during the season. You're married to it. You're there all the time. Another challenge, I guess I would say, is as a woman, you need to be really, really, at least in my role, I need to be really informed on what's going on with the team, what's going on in the league, and to really follow the stats and to be up to date and knowledgeable about the sport as well as the business. Being knowledgeable about the business is most important, but you also need to be knowledgeable about the sport and what's going on. And you need to be a sports fan, I guess, or become one. And a lot of times my male counterparts have really, I mean, now they know this about me, that I am a big fan, that I am someone to talk to about these stats and about these things, but they wouldn't always come to me first and to chat about it. And like, that's how you make connections with your coworkers and stuff too, is to talk about the team and the league and different backgrounds and different other teams that you like for football and everything. And I think that is something I noticed, that as a woman, I was not in the conversation until I put myself in that conversation. And it's not a huge important conversation to be in, but that is a way to bond with my coworkers and to see that I am informed. I do know what I'm doing. I am passionate about this. I don't want it just for the team name, I guess.
And do you feel like, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Ashley, do you feel like sometimes you have to be overinformed, or is that something that you just generally enjoy? Because men will be challenged. Yeah.
Yeah. Be overly informed. You need to watch like even the away games when you're at home and you're like, I want to watch something other than baseball for once, but it's like, you need to know what's going on because everyone's going to be talking about it. And that's a way you can get their respect and they can take you seriously. And then now it was really just initially early on, and that's what I learned. And now I'm so used to it in my counterparts, and we all really are a team together. And because I've been there for a while and they all know, but initially that was a challenge, and I had to overly prepare myself to be in those conversations.
Did you find the same barriers maybe for your male counterparts? Do you feel like they were just naturally invited to conversations even without knowing their prior information or background?
Yeah. Initially, I think it's just who's going to talk sports, they're going to go to the guys. But now, like, once you put yourself in, I'm in an organization that is very supportive. And so once I put myself in there, they kind of know, and we're a family now and everyone's included together. Yeah.
That's awesome. Jamie, sorry I cut you off, but we'd
No,
love to hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, just going kind of off of what Connor and Ashley were saying, I think it's just about changing the narrative of that sports now is for everybody. It's not just predominantly male. And I think as women, we just need to have confidence and like, we can do this. This is something we're passionate about. And like personal experience, I volunteered with the Holiday Bowl for 5 years leading up to when I moved to Denver in the press box, helping direct the game. And I was the only woman in there every year. So it's just being confident, like, you know what, I'm here for a reason. I can do this, and inserting yourself to get what you want. So have that passion.
I think confidence is huge. Going off of Jamie, a lot of times I'll find myself in meetings just second guessing myself. And if I want to give my opinion, if I want to say something, and when I do, I say, oh, maybe we could do this. I think this could work. And just changing your words and saying, you know what, we really should be doing this, because you know in your head that that's what's going to work. That's the right call, but you just kind of second guess yourself because you're not sure of what other people are going to think of you and think of your opinion. And so definitely just holding firm, staying true to what you know. You've been in this role, you know the role, you know what you need to do, and just being confident in your abilities and in your opinions.
Ashley Adams, you want to bring us home on this one?
Sure. I would say also too, just like in regular life, males typically are known as like having a stronger work ethic. So I feel like as women, we just need to push even harder and prove that we do have a strong work ethic as well. So I think that I definitely worked harder to prove that. And then, I mean, to work hard. But yeah, I think that, and then agreeing with Ashley on people assuming that if you want to talk about sports, they go to males first and be like, no, I actually have an interest in this as well. And making sure that that's well known so that people know to go to you.
Yeah. That's why I think these panels and just educating ourselves is so important. Sports is for everyone, and it is about changing the narrative, even down to getting co-ed or female bathrooms down in the locker room so you don't have to run up to the concourse every time or whatever that looks like. So before we get into the question and answers, I know we've got some really great questions coming in. I want to know, is there anything that we're leaving out? Anything that you would like to address, share with our audience members before we jump in?
I think don't be hesitant to reach out to us. We all wanted to be on this panel to share our experiences, and we were in your shoes at some point. So connect with us and use us as a resource because we're willing to share our story and help where we can.
Yeah, we remember how it was and how much it meant to us for these people taking their time to talk with us, that we want to pay it forward.
Exactly. Yeah. Being invited to this, I was like, oh, I wish I would have had this as an SDSU student. So I would have had a little bit of guidance, or at least, a few familiar faces that I would felt comfortable reaching out to. So please reach out to us.
Don't ever be discouraged with this industry. And if you might get 20 no's, but that one yes is going to help propel you to where you want to be. So don't ever get discouraged. Always make those connections, take opportunities that maybe you wouldn't normally take because it might be a great stepping stone into what you want to do for the rest of your career. So definitely don't let this industry discourage you if you get 5 no's before you get.
Wonderful. And with that being said, great words of wisdom. I hope everyone took that in. I'm going to bring Hima back in to go through the questions and some of the things that have been popping up in our chat and question and answer section. So Hima.
Hey everyone, back on. So thanks for that great panel. I'm so proud of you all. I was just texting my partner, my husband, about how proud we are of the accomplishments you all have already achieved. So thank you for sharing this insight with our students. So we'll get right into the questions because we have a lot and I want to get to as many as we can. I think the biggest question that a lot of students upvoted, and I think it would be nice to kind of hear from each of you, and maybe you can keep it kind of succinct so we can get to other questions, but can you explain like what a day in the life of your job looks like and like exactly what you do? Because I think titles can mean a lot of things. So how about we start with Ashley Fleck? If you could just take us through really briefly, like exactly what you do and your day in the life.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it brief. Like I said, my main job is working with different brands in the industry like State Farm or Geico or any of those brands that you see that advertise with the stadium. And my job is to basically be their marketing expert with the marketing assets that the Angels can provide for them to hit our fan base to meet their marketing goals. So an example would be State Farm. Day to day, I would be meeting with new clients, new prospective clients, looking for new business, working on my current accounts, whether it's fulfilling their signage, hosting them at a game pre-COVID, or just putting all of their agreement together in an end season wrap up, which is what I'm doing right now to eventually propel our conversations into 2021. That's it, very brief.
Perfect. Great. No, that was awesome. How about Jessica? What's your day in the life? How about pre-COVID? We'll go that direction.
So my day changes every day because I'm working on different concerts and events. So it's never the exact same every single day, but generally what we're working on, different advertising, different marketing assets, email newsletters for the different shows and events that are happening. My job specifically, I work with our social media coordinator for different graphics and content, also working with my boss for press releases and any interview requests that are coming through. My main role is working on artist gifts. So something that people don't really know, every time an artist comes to the venue, we give them kind of a thank you gift. And so I'm researching artists and working with outside vendors to create those gifts, and then also working on backstage graphics. We create kind of a welcoming environment for our guests backstage, so putting graphics up and different banners and all of that jazz. So it's a lot of different things going on behind the scenes that people don't really see, and that's kind of what I'm working on.
Awesome. That's super. I'm learning about the backstage, behind the scenes artist gifts was fascinating to me. How about Connor? Your before COVID day in the life.
Yeah, like Jessica mentioned, what makes working in sports and community relations specifically so special is that every single day is different. You know, one day you're hosting kids from Make-A-Wish on the field during batting practice. Another, we'll do fundraisers for the Padres Foundation. We support player appearances and programs. Military affairs falls under community relations. A little bit of everything, but basically our job is connecting the team, the players, the organization with the community and our local nonprofits.
Great. That's a great way of putting it. Jamie.
Yeah, so I think the easiest way to describe like stuff that I do is we kind of view my position as like the telephone. Like I'm telling like sales, here's the assets you need to use that align with our brand, or partners, like here's assets or events that you can promote. And then to our outside media partners, I do a lot of the media buying. So that's, you know, billboards and what radio stations we want to put a 30-second spot on, and making sure that they have the right assets so our brand is reflected in the way that we want to. So that's 90% of my work. And then probably the 10% is entertainment. So I down on the field, calling in subs and cards to the broadcast booth, and then helping with pregame and halftime activations. So
awesome. Super exciting. And Ashley.
So yeah, our team is very small. So the marketing department is me. So I run our social media, create content. I work with the sales team to create sales collateral, partner recaps. I edit our website, send out e-newsletters. The most interesting thing about my job that just happened last year is we now have an influencer that we work with. So I've been managing her and then developing our influencer program for every tournament. So really it's different every single day, but and a little bit of everything.
I definitely, would agree. Like definitely day in the life changes, obviously. But those were really good recaps of, you know, specifically how you're working in your respective spaces. So now I'll just kind of call on a couple of you to answer some of these questions. So a lot of students are sort of wondering, you know, COVID life right now, a lot of them will be graduating soon and wanting to enter into the sports industry. So what advice would you have for someone just starting out and getting their foot in the door? And, you know, with all the barriers and challenges with COVID. So maybe Connor, you can start us off.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we've been working from home since March, so it's definitely been strange. So I can only imagine, you know, it's going to be a difficult time to network and get some of these internship experiences. But those informational interviews are invaluable. They're a great way to get to know people and their organizations. Also volunteering, if you're able to get into the community at any point, you know, that's an easy way to meet folks and get involved. So keeping up with the informational interviews and volunteering would be two of my suggestions.
Wonderful. One other person? Ashley Adams?
I definitely recommend signing up for as many webinars as you can. Really start learning different skills. If you're looking to do any design work, try to learn Adobe Suite. It is very challenging. You have so much time being at home, and take advantage of this time. I know we've all probably have learned new skills and have joined so many webinars during this time.
Perfect. Awesome. Jamie, did you want to jump in real quick?
yeah, I just think front office sports is like an email that you can get delivered to your inbox every day, and it covers all the sports, all the upcoming stories, things you need to know. They also send out a job email. So that could be a good place to start, because you can kind of start your day reading some sports so you're in the know, and then learn of opportunities.
Perfect. Great. So the next one I think applies maybe to everybody. We talked about how teams are small and you're doing a lot with a little. So what would you say, since your teams are small and it's difficult maybe to climb the ladder, the corporate ladder, you know, what advice would you give to women and men who are trying to kind of gain and grow within positions? And maybe Ashley Fleck, you can start us off there.
Yeah, I would say don't be afraid to extend the opportunity. Obviously, you want to focus on the work you're doing, but to help people and to be an outlet for people to call on and to learn more about different departments and learn and sit down with like heads of different departments and learn about them if they have some time, and always be the first person, like I think Connor mentioned, to raise your hand and to do the work, even if it doesn't pertain to what you're doing. I think showing that you are a team player is the most important for any working on any sports team, because like the team itself is a team, and then the front office is also a team, and that team camaraderie is very, very valuable to hiring managers. So just being the first to help out, and then showing your work and to learn, and showing that you want to learn and that you're passionate about being there, is something that has personally helped me grow from internships to permanent roles, and then within my organization to grow up. I personally was working in a fulfillment role, and then I expressed an interest in sales. I helped out the salespeople with their proposals and their decks, and me showing that interest alerted our director, like, oh, Ashley, when we have an opening, Ashley, I think she could fit well. She's passionate about it. She already knows a little bit. I could teach her.
Perfect.
I think also not limiting your opportunities. If you're a diehard Angels fan and you're like, I want to work for the Angels, like you need to be willing to work anywhere for any team. Minor league sports is a great way to start. I personally didn't work in minor league sports. I know a few you guys might have, but it's really a team effort, all hands on deck at all times. You're out there pulling tarp, doing basically everything. So that's a great way to get experience. And would just, again, recommend not limiting yourself to one team, one city, really being open if sports is truly where you want to end up.
Yeah, that's a great point. Jamie, Jamie, obviously, because she's in Colorado. But I think this question I wanted to ask you too, Jamie, since, you described, obviously you're probably away from family and friends and that sort of thing. So like, what keeps you motivated to keep grinding in the fast-paced industry that you're in? And you all described this already, but it's weekends, it's nights, it's holidays away from your family, it's sacrificing, what your friends are doing to work. So what kind of keeps you motivated to continue on?
Yeah, I know someone touched on this earlier, but working culture, like your environment that you're in, I think is so important, and that should be valued when you're looking for a job, because you spend so much time with your coworkers more than your family. And having those good working relationships that you can talk to about work and your life outside of work is definitely beneficial. And then I think just knowing that you're investing in yourself, and if there's things that you're interested in that you think would help better you and get you further along in your career, go for it, because you have to take control of your future and your job direction. So don't be afraid to invest in yourself.
Being passionate. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you go.
No, I'll be quick. Sorry. Just being passionate and really enjoying what you're doing is what's gotten me through some long days. Knowing the impact that we have on the community, it's really fulfilling. But also, to be honest, just knowing that there are so many people out there that want your job. Like, you have to grind, you have to be there, you have to show face, even if you don't want to be there. Like, it's, you'll get left behind and someone will be right there next in line to take your job. So yeah, I really have to put in the work to keep it up and keep going. And it's not really an option once you get in.
Yeah, and during non-COVID times, just being able to see the fans and families that are coming to your game or your event and how happy they are, I think that it's infectious, that energy, and you just get motivated and remind yourself like all the hard work you paid off, and people are enjoying themselves because of it. So it's really, it's great to see.
Mm-hmm. All the behind the scenes work that you do that nobody sees it's actually one of my favorite parts of being in the industry. Is that you're going crazy, you're on the radio, everybody's texting each other, emailing, there's so much going on, and everybody in the stadium, they have no idea. And that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to go off without a hitch. There aren't supposed to be any issues. They're not supposed to know that everybody's yelling at each other through the radio, trying to figure out some last minute emergency situation. And that's honestly my favorite part, is if you're doing your job, people don't know how hard it is.
Great point. Yeah. Okay, so last question, and we'll just kind of go around to everybody. So obviously these are all students that are here and wanting to hear from you about your jobs and your careers and how you got to where you got to. So one final piece of advice, if you were a student in their shoes right now listening to this panel, what could you kind of leave them a lasting line with? So Jessica, let's start with you.
Get involved. I know right now it's kind of a hard time. So if you are still early in your college career during this time, do some research of what you would want to get involved in and be ready to go once you're able to. And if you're a little bit further along, already starting to look for your career, don't be afraid to get on LinkedIn, find a company or a place that you would want to work, a team that you would want to work for. See if you have a connection. If you don't, find someone in the department that you might want to work in and message them. Do that with a few teams, just to ask, hey, how's it going? I know we're in this difficult time, but just want to ask some general questions about the industry and kind of your advice and what you think I should be doing during this time, and definitely developing those skill sets that Ashley was talking about. We're really getting into the digital age where if you don't know Adobe Creative Suite or you don't know HTML, you're going to have to learn eventually. So definitely just use this time to build up those skill sets.
Awesome. Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything Jessica said is correct, and work hard and be mentally ready to put in that work. But I also think be creative when you're thinking about working in sports, because there's so many other opportunities, and there's a lot of companies that have a sports tie that maybe you didn't think of. And so just think through your options, don't get discouraged, and lean on your network and your mentors that you have.
Great point. Ashley Fleck.
I would say everything else everyone said is very crucial too. Another point would be a piece of advice: no task is too small. Like as an intern, like delivering a TV to someone or whatever, or like working on a weekend, no task is too small. No networking event or webinar is like less important than others. You can take something from everything you're doing, and by doing these menial tasks as an intern or raising your hand and stepping up, that's what is eventually going to set you apart. Or reaching out to people, like no LinkedIn message is too like unimportant. Like the right person will connect with you. If someone doesn't get back to you, move on to someone else. Like it just being dedicated to that process and getting started will really push you forward.
Perfect. Ashley Adams.
Yeah, just never stop learning. I talked about webinars earlier, but if you're looking at job descriptions too, a lot of them will put different platforms that they would like you to know something about. So really use that as like a checklist of like, these are things that I don't really know a lot about. I should research them now so that by the time if I do get an interview, I'm already like a master in this area.
Yes, perfect. And good point in the chat, Lauren shouted out that as SDSU students, Adobe is free. So take advantage now and get learning.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Go do it.
Guys, go. All right, to finish us off, Connor, lasting advice.
Yeah, I totally agree with Ashley. Like our department mantra is duties as assigned. Do everything and anything you can. It's a great experience, learning opportunity. One more thing to add to your resume. One other piece of advice is maybe, explore opportunities outside of sports, master marketing, finance, community relations, go work for a nonprofit for a while, learn about grant writing and fundraising and all those things that go into that piece of the industry, and really master that before considering going into sports, so that you're best in class and they're dying to hire you and know that you put in the work.
It's wonderful. That's so amazing. And I'm going to pop up just a quick resources slide as we close things out. Obviously, you all know that the panelists have offered, you all to reach out. So please look for them on LinkedIn, connect with them. They're all SDSU alumni. So, they were all in your shoes at one point in time, ready and willing to kind of share information. To close things out, I wanted to just share first. A few of you were asking in the chat box about grad school. We're actually really fortunate here at San Diego State to have a sports MBA graduate program. Super unique program that I would encourage if you're looking to pursue your education beyond your undergraduate, especially if you have an interest in sports. There's a lot of great networking opportunities and alumni that have gone on to achieve great success through this program. So business.sdsu.edu/SMBA. There's also an email address there if you just want to have general questions. We're accepting applications now. So our director of that program is ready and willing to discuss with you. Even if grad school's 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, wouldn't hurt to just ask and check in with them. And then I'll turn it over to Jill to talk about the Career Management Center before we close out.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Hema. For those of you who are interested in going into grad school, we help with writing personal statements. Also, if you do have interviews lined up or are not sure how to make that first connection for an informational interview, you have a wealth of knowledge and resources available to you as Fowler College of Business students through the Career Management Center. So connect with one of the advisors. We're here to help you professionally both succeed on your path to an internship or career. And then as an alumni, if you're a mid-level professional right now who's maybe looking to make that jump into sports, connect with one of us and we're happy to walk you through that process, be a sounding board, and provide you with all of the resources we have available, especially through our school, to help you be successful.
Wonderful. Yes. So lastly, thank you all so much, our panelists. I'm so, again, just going to reiterate how proud I am of all of you and how you all have been paying it forward and giving back and sharing all of your expertise with our students. I know to our students, we didn't get to all of your questions. They were wonderful. So please feel free to reach out to these panelists individually if you're interested in their respective fields. But thank you all for coming, and we hope to continue to provide programming like this for you all during this time. So we'll sign off now. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all.